winds fill my sails across the sea of fear.
The world has become tyrannical.
You want more of your people to die?
Deceptive. Dystopian. Fraudulent. Factual. Truthful. Direct knowledge. Has been taken away from the masses for the purposes of control. But enough is enough, dear friends.
We will not comply!
Now is the time to take what is rightfully ours. Welcome to the Syncretism Society Virtual Academy.
Welcome.
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 Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to the Syncretism Society
Virtual Academy.
Within the Academy, we have great minds to collectively bring our alumni a staggering range of knowledge.
Based off decade after decade of quantifiable research.
Spanning from sound medicine,
yoga science,
Indian spirituality,
Medical astrology,
wisdom to sovereignty,
holistic health,
esoteric sciences,
Astro-theology.
Acquiring these truths, dear friends,
will drive your empowerment and ability
for proper ascension.
Take back your sovereignty. Take back your knowledge.
take back your freedom. Join us at the Syncretism Society Virtual Academy.
Is the guy we don't have to mention that.
Micah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're up. Yeah. All right, cool. How's everybody doing? Welcome out to what is this? 51? Oh, 51. Awesome. Antimony. Welcome out, all you great syncretists, to another amazing podcast. And today we're going to be discussing a little bit of theology. and astrology, of course, because it fits right in there with the Quran. And we have our special guest, one of the instructors of the Academy, Micah. And it's my first time I get to interact with him, so I'm pretty jazzed about it. And I always get jazzed when I get to sit next to this guy right here.
Likewise, brother. My favorite co-host.
What do we have? We have a
echo. It's gone? No, it's still there. Who's got it? That's gone? Yeah.
No, still there.
Still there. Yeah. Hello? Nope. Still there.
Hang on, everybody. That's a little technical difficulties. Just got everybody muted. Okay.
Right.
Just keep everybody muted and then just do Micah.
All right. Micah Dank.
Yeah.
Astrotheology in the Quran. Well. I think I've done that about 10 times, but I haven't actually done one dedicated video on the subject. But let me tell you, man, I've seen some amazing stuff in the Quran.
Hell yeah.
Twice in the Quran, it mentions all the signs of the Zodiac. Twice. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Just like that. Twice. Probably about 7 or 8 times, if I remember correctly, I read it. It mentions the 7 planets of astrology: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. That's how honest the Quran is. The Quran is a very honest book. You go over to the Bible, it's all removed. It's the 12 sons of Jacob. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. Yeah. It's the 12 disciples of Jesus. You know, so they hide it, but you can't.
No, I think they just didn't want that wardrobe. They're like, oh, I don't like those pair of jeans. I'm going to switch over to corduroys or something and just call it something different. So, but yeah, I get it.
Yep.
I'm stoked because I just been hammering this out. I've been really invested in Sirius, the star Sirius. And I learned, someone pointed it out, that, and I can't wait to hear what Mike has got to say on this, but it says Allah is the Lord of Sirius.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't heard that truth bomb drop, it's not even my opinion. It's right in the mighty text of the Quran that Allah is, it says it's the Lord of Sirius. I don't know if it actually is Sirius or if it's the Lord of Sirius, because that's what it says. But we'll talk about that.
So what's the 51st element?
51's antimony, the all-seeing eye horse.
Antimony. So tonight's antimony
night.
Guys, the elements are very important.
Yeah.
This is what I like about Logan, guys. I really think Logan's channel, Decoding Your Reality, and his work is... What's the word when someone doesn't get the credit that that's due? Anyway, I really think that it is, for me, it is the greatest decoding channel in history. Why is that? Because you are the only one that includes the elements. I've always said this. The elements are fractals of God. They are God's little makers, little tools, hammers and nails. They construct this carbon-12 universe, and neon and argon and all of these elements are important, and you know all their atomic numbers, you know all their atomic weight, you know how the weights connect with the numbers of each other. You can cross-reference all the elements and add that to the other 2 parts of the Trinity, the alphabetical and the numerical code of the universe. So you're the only one that I know that has combined the Trinity. Letters, numbers, and elements.
And alchemy, yeah.
Anyone who's decoding anything that excludes the elements is lost.
Yeah, it's a big piece.
Yeah.
Well, then you can add in, and then you add in the tarot, and you add in the cards of illumination, typical playing cards, any other cards like the medicine deck, animals, insect, reptiles, all these other card decks. They all just fit in there.
Exactly. That's the other thing. You do the Babylonian cards, the 52 cards, and the tarot, the 78 cards. 5 things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, it's the complete package.
It's pretty amazing, man.
You really deserve like a couple of million subscribers on there. Folks listening, get out and subscribe to decode your reality. Share it with your friends. Share, share, share. Logan's decodes are just absolutely mind expanding. So that's why I'm very happy to have you.
Well, but you know, I give you a lot of credit because a lot of what you do is embedded in my stuff. So I right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm rewatching some of my favorite stuff of yours, your older stuff. Somebody had, I have a Telegram group, small one, but someone had posted something when I posted Manly P. Hall and it was all tied to Sirius. Someone posted an older video of yours when you were talking about the return of Sirius and how when we go away from it, we get into the dark age, and when it comes back, we get into the golden age again. And it was beautiful. And if you haven't seen that one with Santos, rare form, man, talking about Sirius, which is Allah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm revisiting you. I love your old stuff. That's my favorite.
Yeah, man, there's some great old videos there, you know, and some of them have got gems in them that I've never repeated. You know, if I listen back to some of them sometimes for 10 minutes, I go, gee, man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching myself.
Yeah.
I forgot.
You forgot.
I've forgotten half the things that I've put in my presentation.
Well, it just shows you how much research you do. Because you're on to the next thing.
They're all different.
They're all different.
Every single one.
But those, it's like Hansel and Gretel leaving the breadcrumbs behind there.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. I love watching your old stuff. That's my favorite stuff.
Thanks.
You were really, I mean, not that you're not passionate now, but back then, you just had this different pizzazz about you. And it was awesome, man. Yeah.
That's true.
It was awesome.
All right, let's bring Micah Dank on. Is he there?
He is.
He is. All right, Micah, welcome, brother.
You got to unmute.
You're muted.
I know. I was just waiting for you guys to finish. How are you, gentlemen, tonight?
Great.
Fantastic. Bear with me a second. I'm just pulling up my presentation. I have a bit of a PowerPoint. If you guys can give me the ability to screen share, that would help.
Brendan, can you do that? You'll be able to share in a minute.
Okay.
Hey, Micah, before we get started, man, I'm grateful to be here with you because I haven't shared any space. What's your birthday? Just your month and day.
September 26th.
September 26th. Okay, thanks.
Exactly opposite me, March 24.
I think we went over it last time. Yeah, you're March 24th, right?
Yep. The 26th is the exact opposite, 180 degrees from the 24th of March. Isn't that great?
I love it.
Yep, and here we have an Aquarian. So we've got all male signs there. One fire, two airs.
And it's pretty amazing when you have the opposite, because that, when you bring alchemy, that's the element tungsten, which is called wolfram. So wolfram is 182, 183, which is almost split center of the calendar.
What's tungsten? What number?
Tungsten is 80. Tungsten is, God, why do I have drawn a blank? 74, sorry.
74.
74. Yeah, right. And it's the W. It's called wolfram. They call it tungsten, but they used to make. It's called wolfram, the Latinized version of it, because it's the wolf
and the ram.
Yeah, wolfram, right? So wolfram is they call it tungsten, so they used to put tungsten in the filament of light bulbs.
Right.
And so the light bulbs, as you know, the filaments, they used to make that zigzag shape, which is a pattern of the sun.
Yeah.
Right, which is why bridges have those slopes like that. It's all referencing the sun, but wolfram is the wolf, and that's like tied to the sun and the solar aspect. So it's really interesting that you guys are opposite like that.
Yeah, it is. I love it. And wolf and ram go together because wherever there is the lamb is the wolf, and it's Aries. This is the wolf side, and this is the lamb side of the cerebrum Aries. Aries is the cerebrum. Here is the wolf. Here is the ram. The Lamb of God is on the right side, and the wolf is on the left side. All right.
Doesn't the wolf also represent lupus?
Yes, it does. In Aries, lupus. One of the deacons in your sign, Libra.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Lupus.
You know, it's interesting that you guys are talking about alchemy, because I've recently started to get into it. I've read all the intro books and stuff. My 7th book that I've written is a story about two guys. There's a murder at the Kaaba, and they pretend to be police, and they go in there and they basically saw off a big piece of the meteorite, and they use that and turn it into the purest gold that is ever found, and that disrupts the world's economies. So that was basically the the plot of my 7th book. So I tried to work some alchemy into it, but I'm still pretty new with it, to be honest.
And how's your book deal going? You getting stuff printed?
So as it is right now, my first 2 books is with an Imagine Entertainment movie producer, and she absolutely loves them. All the syncretism and all the esoteric stuff that I have in there. My publicist is also pitching. Aside from that, my publicist is pitching the book series to TV producers, and they all love it, but there's no money in it yet because everybody says that they're broke. So we're waiting it out. We're still working on it, but yeah, the books are selling. You know, when you share this kind of information, in order not to go off the deep end, which a lot of people do when they first discover things like this. I wrote it in a fictionalized story, all this information, my decodings and all that kind of stuff, in a fictionalized setting so that it could basically soft red pill people, because you can't just drop a hammer like this on the population. You know what I'm saying? Because many of them have no clue, and it would shatter their world. So you kind of have to do it in a sensitive way. I actually have a children's astrology book out. It just came out. It's called A is for Aries, and it's cute. It's these 2 kids that talk about the older brother teaches the youngest about astrology, the dates, some personality archetypes for each sign. And me and my astrologer, Priscilla, we're going to be doing a high school book now, which is kind of like a compendium. So when they're younger, they'll read the kids' astrology book. And when they're in middle school, high school, we're going to start to get into the planets, the ruling houses, the nodes, the asteroids. We're basically going to, try and bring this to the world, because this is the forgotten science. And just basically working my ass off with that.
Great stuff, man. And you're just fresh too. You've only been at this for a few years, 6 or 7.
I've only been teaching this for 2 years, but I started with your videos actually 10 years ago when I was living in Boston.
Right.
And yeah, so it hasn't been that long. But one of the things I want to do, since I'm teaching on your channel, is I'm going through the entire Bible now and finding all the astrology that I can. And I'm going to do, chapter by chapter, book by book. I want to get it up on your website so we can have a complete decoding.
Nice.
How about this for synchronicity for you, Micah? Micah, the book of Micah in the Bible is the 33rd book in the deck. I mean, 33rd book in the Bible.
And there's 66 books. So Micah is the middle.
Right in the very middle.
M for middle.
Yeah. And you guys, and you guys are in the middle of the calendar.
And you're in the middle sign, Libra. Balancing.
And the book of Micah, the prophet Micah, is actually the one who predicts that the Savior will come from Bethlehem. Well, if you know your Hebrew, Bethlehem is a combination of 2 words. It's Bet, which means house, and Lechem, which means bread, the house of bread. Well, that's Virgo. So they're really just saying that the Savior is going to come from a virgin, if you understand astrology.
Yeah, and the latitude, longitude of Bethlehem is 31 degrees north, 35 degrees east, and you add that up, that gives you 66, which is the match of the 66 books of the Bible.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all synchronistic, man. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is. There's
never a dull day. There's never a day that goes by that I don't learn something at this point.
No, me neither.
I think you need to have the wide-eyed child's view of just wanting to just indulge in everything. And you need to have that young spirit about you when you get into something like this, because it's really never ending. It took me a while to get to the point where I realized, because when I started seeing all these patterns and doing these decodings, it's not just the Quran. It's not just the Quran and the Bible. It's also the Gnostic texts, like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, the Gospel of Q. And then it's also the Enuma Elish, Epic of Gilgamesh. It's all of those. They're all based on these patterns. It's the one underlying theme that goes through all these ancient holy books, all of them. And it's amazing. It's like every book that I pick up, I see something new. So I thought we would go through the book. I thought we would go through the Quran to show you just some of the stuff that I found. And if you want to jump in or spin your own interpretation or use your own knowledge, please feel free.
Sure.
I would love to do that. So let's go ahead. Okay, can you guys see this?
Let's have a look. Yep.
Make sure we get them. Hold on. Make sure we get them.
Full screen?
Yeah, well, on the video, because not everybody's going to be able to see it right now. Unless I know there's little bit of a delay, but can you guys get him? Can you ladies get him his screen centered on the? Can you move it? Okay, cool.
Let me know when I'm.
There we go. Okay, yeah, there you go. And you may want to make it a little bit bigger if you can.
Oh yeah, much
just a
bigger.
smidge.
Much bigger.
Yeah, I mean you could take up the whole screen if you want to.
Yeah, yeah, I would. I'd do that.
Yeah, because that's a little small. Expand it out. Hang on, everybody. I want to make sure all you ladies and gentlemen get the benefits of this. Yeah, there you go.
Hang on to your seats.
Yeah, there you go.
This is going to get scary.
All right, cool. There you go. Perfect. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, man. You're ready to rock.
Yep. Okay. Drop it down a bit. That's it. Beautiful. Right in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, good. Beautiful. So the first quote that I put in, it's kind of an I have a quote at the beginning and a quote at the end that I like to share. The first quote is from Socrates. It says, "Employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings, so that you shall come easily by what others have labored hard for." And I think that's one of the most honest things that you could say to somebody before you start something like this. The idea that between me and Santos and Maxwell and all of them, we have like 150, 200 years worth of studying this. And you guys could just watch an hour presentation, but not realize that that might have took 10 years of understanding. You know, it just becomes very easy. And the idea is to find a way so that this could be digested. That's what I'm always thinking about, how to make this digestible to the masses. Okay. Because it's when you free someone from the fear of hell, from Lucifer, from Satan, from all this stuff, when you free them, I've had plenty of people tell me that they no longer fear, that they're pissed off, that they had this religious guilt over their head. You know, they would go on with their lives, but they were wondering, should they be better? Am I going to burn in hell? You go through all that stuff with them. You teach them the science, and it frees them. And then they're able to be who they truly are. So I get messages like that. Santos, I know you get a million of them. But yeah, so that's basically where it is. So I'm going to explain the 12 signs the way that I do, which might be a little different than the way that you guys do, but I'm going to show you how this works. So I start when I explain the sciences. I'm sorry, when I explain the Zodiac with Aquarius. And I do that because that's kind of our beginning of the year, whereas the year actually starts in Aries, which we all know. But basically, the first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher. Okay? It goes back to the story of Zeus and Aquarius, where Zeus basically sees a young 14-year-old boy whose name was, I believe it was Merope, on Earth, and he bargains with the father, and he brings the guy up to heaven after he gives his father a whole bunch of riches. And the boy is feeding people and the god's ambrosia out of this water pitcher. And what he ends up doing is he gets pissed off one day. He goes to the side of heaven and he pours it out. That's where the Greeks get their flood story, because it flooded the earth. And then Zeus, in a moment of self-reflection, he was going to punish him, but instead he immortalized him as the constellation of Aquarius. Now, the guy's name was Merope. That was his name. But I believe Merope is also a... it's like a moon, I believe, outside of Jupiter. Jupiter being Zeus. I think Merope is like the sixth moon from Jupiter. Right. So it kind of goes in like that. So there's words, keywords. That's what I talk about, is the keywords. Words like son of man, and that applies in the Bible. Man, because Aquarius is the sign of the man, whereas the woman is Virgo. Baptism, because the man with the water pitcher, this is how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, water bodies are used to talk about Aquarius. Now, people might say Aquarius is actually an air sign. It's not a mutable water sign like Pisces, and they're correct. But in so much the fact that there's water in the actual... I'm sorry?
You're right. No one said anything.
Okay. in the fact that there's water in Aquarius. It's literally a man with a water pitcher and there's water in it. Water can be applied to Aquarius. Now, Pisces is the sign of the two fish in the water. It's the mutable water sign. So the same thing, stream, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean, applies in Pisces. And when you start to decode it with these key words, what you'll find is you'll have to figure out if they're talking about water Aquarius or if they're talking about water Pisces. And usually you could figure that out with making connections with the opposing sign or the connecting signs, because the Bible and the Quran, they talk about, it's not just that there's patterns. It's not just that they're talking about the signs. It's that, like, when you talk about the sheep and the wine, well, the sheep is Aries and the wine is Libra. Those are opposing signs. So it's examples like that. They always make patterns. Okay. Now, Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. Okay. It's a 12-hour day. It's a 12-hour night. There's also 3 different types of Passovers. It's the Passover, or in astrotheology, the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. In Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's son, which is Easter. Easter and Passover are always in Aries. Also, the third one is you have the Hebrew Passover, which is the Jewish Passover, which is when the angel of death passes over the Egyptians, and anyone that doesn't have the lamb or the ram, Aries, the ram's blood on the door, the people of Aries, the ram's blood, their firstborn sons get killed. And you'll see this motif in all the old tablets, the firstborn sons getting killed, or the son getting killed. So whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn, you're talking about Aries. Then Taurus is the bull. And when you look at the sky and see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seed so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So keywords for Taurus would be bull, ox, calf, or cow, cow being a female bull, basically. Then Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. Interesting thing about Castor and Pollux Troy, there was a Nicolas Cage, John Travolta movie that came out 20 years ago or so. It was called Face Off. And John Travolta's character's name was Sean Archer. Well, Archer is Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. Okay? Nicolas Cage and his brother's characters' names were Castor and Pollux Troy. That's Gemini. Those are opposing signs.
Yeah, they're symbiotic, yeah.
Yeah, they were opposing signs. So they put this in Hollywood for sure. And they expect people not to know. So Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. So just as the sun rises a degree on its axis starting on December 25th, it stops on June 21st. Then for 3 days, it rises to the same degree, hence moving sideways. Then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, beetle doesn't come up that often, but it does. You're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, they're talking about Leo. Now, Virgin is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So before, when we said that you plant in Taurus, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin or woman or girl or elderly lady, a woman, that has to do with Virgo. Whenever you're talking about wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, grainy things that you harvest, that's done in Virgo. And you could simply use that shitty engine Google to look up any of these stuff, and you'll see they're all harvestable in Virgo, in the area at which the books were written. Now, Libra is the justice, and that's the scales, the balance, the just one. And the reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox. Okay? So Libra being law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, lawly things, that's all Libra because of the scales of justice, judgment. It's interesting, too, because in Libra, 8 days after Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, you have a day called Yom Kippur, which is the day of judgment. It's when the Jews go to temple, they don't eat, they don't drink, and they pray for God to keep them in the book of life for another year. So, but naturally, you would have the day of judgment in Libra. So Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. Libra is also olive oil season. Okay, that's when you press the olives into oil. So whenever you hear law, judge, justice, the just one, lawly things, wine, vineyard, wine press, grapes, olive oil or olive oil, you're talking about Libra. And incidentally, I just found this out recently too, but frankincense and myrrh are actually both olive plants. So I have to go back and look at the passages where they're talking about that to see if there's any Libra connections with that. Now, Scorpio is the scorpion, and he's the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like two lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death, and it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, and it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It's dead. It's the dead of winter. It remains at the lowest level for 3 days, which is why Jesus was dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's son, it rises another degree and starts to make its way back up top. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. And then finally you have Capricorn, because he likes to climb the mountain, the goat. Now, if you look at the zodiac wheel on the right, everyone watching this or listening, Capricorn's at the bottom of the wheel. This is how it should be. I mean, it's not 100% accurate how this should be, but for the most part, this is the best that I can get it. Capricorn at the bottom, Cancer at the top. The sun starts to climb a degree a day alongside the wheel. So just put a little raisin or something and climb it a degree a day. It starts to climb in Capricorn. Excuse me. So those are the 12 signs. So, Surah 1, the opener of the book. Number 4, Day of Judgment 1, he is the sovereign. The Day of Judgment is December 21st in Sagittarius, which is when the sun is finally executed on the judgment provided during Libra, the scales, the justice, the just one. Now, it's not just a one-off thing. There was a lot of stuff in the Quran that I didn't include here that were just maybe a keyword mentioned for one sign. I try to include the ones that have multiple signs or obvious things that we can talk about. But that's just an example of one. Surah 2, the cow. When they are told, you on earth do not sow wickedness, they answer, on the contrary, we only sow good here. Well, sowing takes place during Taurus, which is when you plant the seeds. The female bull is the cow. That's why the Surah 2 is called the cow, because they're talking about Taurus. 22, he raised up the heavens as a covering and poured out water abundantly from heaven to grow fruit for your foods. The zodiac is the heavens covering. Pouring out water comes from Aquarius, again, the man with the water pitcher, pouring it out. 25, they are waiting for gardens washed by rivers, and whenever they will be served fruits from there. The rivers are Pisces, the river with the fish in them, and they will be served fruits in Libra when the fruits are ready to be harvested. So I'm just warming up a little. Then he proceeded to create the heavens, and in them he built 7 celestial vaults. The 7 vaults are the 7 planets that they knew about at the time. I know people might say that it could be the 7 chakras, but when you're talking about the heavens and the vaults, you're talking about 7. Now, when I decode, when I do podcasts and I do shows talking about the Bible, and I talk about the Bible, I tell them at the time this was written, okay, at the time the Bible was written, you can look at someone like Ptolemy's work from 150 AD, who had a list of constellations. I believe there were 48. They knew about 48 constellations and 7 planets at the time. Whereas we know that there's 88, and I consider Pluto a planet. I don't know about you guys, but I know when you start to do like astrological work, like it has a lot to do with your personality. You know, it affects it. So I consider Pluto still a planet as far as that goes. But you tell them it's a product of their times. So the Quran, Islam came out about 1,300 years ago. So they knew about 7 planets at the time. So that's why there were 7 vaults. 51, 54. You in his absence too, the Taurus for veneration. Okay. They mentioned the word Taurus. So is it Taurus? 54. You have taken a calf for veneration. Well, calf, there you go. That is Taurus. So this one's talking about the bull in Taurus. 93, hold fast to what was entrusted to you and follow obediently this law. They answered, we hear, but we do not obey him. Out of their unbelief, they poured out into their hearts a perverse affection for the calf. Okay? The law is Libra and the law and judgment. They poured their hearts out in affection for the calf. The calf is the bull. They were worshiping the bull again. However, they were in the age of Pisces. This is wrong. In every, in the Bible, and in the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Quran, there's constant mention. Well, it's not constant mention, but there's at least a singular mention every time of them worshiping the wrong time period. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, Moses goes to the top, and as Maxwell points out, when he goes to the top to get the 10 Commandments, he comes down, he sees them worshiping a golden calf. So I make the point. I'm like, well, okay, so they got run out of Israel because they couldn't even let the bread rise. That's why there's matzah to this day. They ran into the desert, with nothing, no food. They're constantly fighting with Moses. And then suddenly he goes up to the mountain. They find welding equipment, and they pull together all this gold that they carried with them. It doesn't make sense. So it's the bull and Taurus, but it's worshiping the wrong time period. In fact, if you look at things now, I make the connection that the Egyptians were the people of Taurus. They had the bull with the horn, with the sun in between its horns, and they used to venerate that. And then the Jews are Aries, hence the ram's horn and everything, and then they start to fade. And then the Christians, Pisces, but now their time is up. And if you look at it right now, there's a one world religion headquarters opening up in Jerusalem. And you're talking about the raising of the third temple. Well, what happens with the raising of the third temple? The third temple, when you raise it, has to be preceded by the slaughter of a red heifer, a cow. It has to be perfect. They have to check it. They have to make sure there's no white hairs. They have to slaughter it in kashrut law. But again, that's bull worship, again, in the age of Aquarius. It seems like they keep making the same mistake. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Santos, but I keep noticing that they keep putting in these examples of bull worship.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Mithras, Jupiter with Olympia and the bull, turning himself into a bull. Jupiter, why does he turn himself into a bull? To seduce Europa. Well, see, because Europe has a very Jupiterian energy about it, and Jupiter is Jupiter Zeus, Jesus. So right. Jesus is the archetypal god of Europe, and hence Christianity. But the same figure is Quetzalcoatl here in Mexico, or right. Buddha in India or China. But Jupiter and the bull really shows how the bull is also a very prominent archetype in Europe. In fact, Italy, they say the origin of the word Italy is Vitalia, which is a small bull. Vitello.
Oh, wow.
So a vitello is a small bull, and Vitalia, just drop the V, and you've got Italia, Italy. Right. And there it is, the bull.
And I forget whether it's the, I always forget this. I forget whether it's the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Enuma Elish. But she ends up making one of the goddesses ends up calling on the bull of heaven to end up attacking one of them because he rejected their offers. I forget what that was in. But again, it's further on the bull worship. It just seems very, I don't know, they just keep putting it in there. So 118, those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned to the word to us, and why will he not show us a sign from heaven? Similar words were spoken by those who came before. Their hearts are alike. We interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith with all their soul. So it's looking for signs in heaven. They're literally talking about, and you're going to see this a lot in the Quran. You're going to see this a lot where they say we interpret the signs, understanding the signs, don't understand the signs. The signs are the Zodiac, the 12 signs. They're literally talking about God showing them a sign or interpreting it for them. They interpret the signs for those who are committed to faith. Other people understanding the Zodiac than you. 164. Verily, in the creation of the heavens and the firmament, and in the changed darkness of the night light, of the day, and in the ships crossing the seas according to the needs of man, in the rain that Allah pours from heaven, and the earth that has fallen from death lives on. In the living creatures that he scattered over the earth, in the motion and changes of the winds, the clouds between heaven and earth, as they drive their servants. Here it is. Truly, here are the hidden signs for those who understand. So the animals that were scattered, what would they be? Well, you have the fish, that's Pisces. You have the lamb, that's Aries. You have the bull, that's Taurus. The cow, that's Taurus. The crab, the beetle, Cancer. Lion, Leo, Scorpion, and all the belly-crawling creatures, like the snake. Ophiuchus being between Scorpio and Sagittarius. And the horse, Sagittarius. So when they constantly say, truly here are the hidden signs for those who understand, and you can break it down this way. 2:13, on the day of the Lord's judgment, he sent the book of truth with them, so that people judge among themselves all that diverge their passions, when clear signs appeared to them. So the judgment day is December 21st. The Quran was sent for people to judge, Libra, amongst themselves when the clear signs appeared to them. 2:39, but if you are in danger, pray on foot or do not dismount from your horse. When the danger has passed you, you call, O the Lord, with praise, how he taught you, and how until then you did not know. So dismounting the horse is Sagittarius. It's the man on the horse. Now, 261, and those who on the path of the Lord spent from their good to that single grain are like who gave birth to the 7 years. The grain is Virgo with the wheat stalk again. The virgin, the sign of the woman who metaphorically gave birth to the 7 planets. All birthing comes from a woman. It's just another metaphor for a virgin birth and one for the 7 planets of heaven. Well, the 7 that they knew at the time. So 266. So I started highlighting this part where they say the signs, when they constantly talk about the signs. 266. And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of dates, palms, and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kinds of fruit, while old age befalls him, and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it all to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so that you can understand. People are making way too much about the explaining the signs or what the signs are. It's very simple. So the vines are vineyards in Libra, and the streams are the streams of water sign in Pisces and Aquarius. Okay, God explains these 12 signs so that you can understand, so that you can decode this. And sometimes the Quran is not as, in my way of decoding, the Quran is not as deeply filled with. So the way it works is like this: the Old Testament is incredibly, incredibly convoluted with astrology. The New Testament is a little easier to break down, and the Quran is a little easier to break down than that too. So Surah 3, the Imran family, he is the one who sent down the book to you. Some ayats in it bear an open meaning, revealing by himself, as it were, the mother of the book. Others are hidden in their interpretation, but those whose heart is on the earth and sins, wanders, desiring confusion, follow what meets their pleasure, seeking out the hidden meaning, which is known only to Allah and is revealed only to those who possess deep knowledge. We believe in the holy book. They say where all ayats are revealed from God, and only he whose mind is bright can embrace its message. It's almost like they're taunting you with the astrology in a way when they keep putting sentences like, he whose mind is bright, those who can interpret the signs, those who understand the signs. They keep repeating that phrase. It's almost like they're trying to tell you to look deeper in this sort of light. This is talking about how there's deeper interpretations within the Quran, and those seek out the hidden meaning with the deep knowledge. And how beautifully all the people see of the love of earthly possessions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses, and herds of cattle, and a plowed field. So here you're going to see multiple examples here. Women are the sign of Virgo. The sons are the man sign in Aquarius. Horses are Sagittarius, cattle is Taurus, and a plowed field is also in Taurus. So in just that 2 sentences, there's 5 signs. 113, but among them there are those who are not like these. Among the people of this scripture there are those who, with patient steadfastness for the truth, stand, and surrendering with all their soul to Allah, spends long hours in the night reading his signs. Again, another mention, reading his signs. The signs are the 12 signs of the Zodiac. And the keywords in each sign that you need to know to be able to decode this, like every other book that I've mentioned. So 190, verily in the creation of earth and sky and in the change of night to day, here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. Again, they put that in there. The hidden signs are the Zodiac. The Lord heard them, calls, and replied, I will never give to the abyss, not a single human deed, whether it is a man or a virgin. Well, the man sign is Aquarius and virgin is Virgo, the woman. But it's interesting that you'll see this in the Bible, too. They always refer to the man as the man, but they'll never say woman. They'll always say virgin.
Yeah.
And to me, there's no other way to interpret that than by Virgo. You know, who introduces someone as a virgin? You know, just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah. It's a very. It's just. There's something. It's just. I don't know.
You'd never pull it off, would you? You know. Hello, I'm a virgin. What's your name?
Right. It doesn't make sense, and it's interesting too because at the end of this, I'm going to explain the 72 virgins.
No one's a virgin. All right.
So, Surah 5 meal until the day of their resurrection at the judgment, and whenever they light the fire of war, the Lord will put it out. So the judgment happens in Libra on September 21st. The fire of war comes from the god of war, Mars, who's the ruling planet of Aries. Those are opposing signs. So here you're seeing a pattern that they're making with this by decoding it. You're seeing neighboring signs, you're seeing opposing signs. And among them are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it. And we covered their ear with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. All you got to do is just think about the Zodiac every time you come across one of these passages. Even if they see the signs, it all makes sense. He is the one who placed the stars for your needs to show you the way. When darkness falls on sea, or in land or sea descends, thus we clarify our signs for those in whom knowledge lives. They're talking about understanding the signs in the sky, understanding the stars, understanding the grouping of the stars, understanding the individual stars. Santos, before I forget, this is off topic, but I wanted to ask you because I learned this from you, but I can't find the video that I learned it from you. You mentioned that at one point there was a star coming back that was blue and now is red, or red and blue. Can you explain that to me real quick?
Yeah, so that's serious. Okay, so in Marcus Manilius, which was 300 years before, 150 years before Ptolemy, he said it was red, whereas Ptolemy described it as blue. So this is where Walter Crittenden, who wrote about the lost star, I think his book was, I read that book and learnt there about this cycle between our sun and Sirius, and that a lot of ancient astrologers said it was red, but clearly now you can see it's as blue as the sky. So they say redshift is when something is moving away from you, a heavenly body, i.e. a star, and blue shift is when it's coming toward you. So that's where Walter Crittenden explained how it's possible that that's when Sirius turned and then turned blue because it turned its corner and now it's coming toward us. In fact, scientists have a rate, a speed, a velocity at which Sirius is hurtling toward us, and so it is actually an astronomical fact that it is.
How interesting! I love it. Now I know where I could find this information again. Thank you. Fucking fascinating. 99. He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky. And with it, we give plants of all kind to grow. And with it, we grow shoots of cereals. From them, we grew grains, sitting in an ear of a dent side by side. From the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar and yet so different from each other. When fruits appear on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripened. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believe in God. So it's not just mentioning it, there's actually examples in it. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believe in God. So what are the hidden signs? Well, the grains are planted in Taurus. Then April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky. Okay? The grains grow. Reap in Virgo. Gardens of vines and olives. Grapes and olives are pressed in Libra. And side note, frankincense and myrrh plants are technically olive plants, so that goes back to it too. These are the hidden signs you need to know. So they give you a little parable. I don't know if you can call it a parable. I think that's just basically relating to Jesus. But they give you a scripture, and they tell you here are the hidden signs. And then it's quite simple when you know the key words. I'm sure I don't have them all, but from what I do have, it populates in almost everything. So 105. So we interpret our signs to them in different ways, so that they could not say, you from others learn this. And so that, the truth, we clearly explain for those who have knowledge. So follow what the Lord has revealed to you by suggestion. Here we go. Take in pairs. 8 heads of cattle, 2 from sheep, 2 from goats. It just so happens to be those 3 animals. You'll see those animals all the time. So the cattle are the ox Taurus, the sheep are Aries, those are connecting signs, and the goat is Capricorn. It just so happens that they happen to, the millions of animals that they have out there that they could sacrifice or this and that. That's what they basically have. It blows my mind sometimes. So Surah 7, obstacles. And the Libra, the actual word used is Libra. And the Libra will be faithful on that day. And those whose cup will be heavy in the delight of paradise dwell. And those whose cup is lightweight, they themselves will doom themselves to destruction because they were lawless in relation to our signs. So Libra is Libra, which is the judgment. The cup being heavy or light refers to the sins one has to account for. Lawlessness goes back to Libra, again, the law. Our signs refer to the signs of the Zodiac. Now, when I was decoding this, I had you in mind, Santos, because I remember one of your podcasts, if you could just jump in and explain this again, because I'm going to get all my questions out today, too. You mentioned something about, is it the constellation crater, the cup that the soul has to pass through? And you said some drink from it more than others. Can you explain that for me?
Yep, the Holy Grail, the cup, the crater, deacon of Leo. Leo is the heart. The souls incarnate at the Tropic of Cancer through the moon. The moon rules Cancer. So as it goes down, and I learnt this from Manly P. Hall's 5 Astro-theology speeches, which I highly recommend. Look it up on YouTube. Manly P. Hall, 5 lectures on astro-theology. And there he explains how the ancient Egyptians taught that the scarab at the top, the crab, the scarab is, you can see the word crab hiding right in the middle of it, okay? So souls come in at Cancer, then they go from the next, that sign to the next sign, Leo, drink of the cup of lethal, get intoxicated, forget their godly nature, pass through Virgo, get judged in the scales of Libra as they go down the fall to winter to Sagittarius. They go through Scorpio where they get transformed. Then Sagittarius brings them to the 9th heaven, the 9th sign, and the arrow shoots on the 21st of December, the last day of Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, and Jupiter hands over to his daddy, old man Kronos, Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, and the souls escape from the rings of Capricorn, and that is called the gate of the gods, whereas the Tropic of Cancer is called the gate of men. And it's always been known that souls come through the moon portal and leave through the sun, but from the sun they have to connect to Saturn and go through the rings of Saturn and then go back to the Empyrean, where all the blessed live with God in eternity.
You know, one of the funniest things that I think I've seen recently is it's really hard to get a good search engine these days because we know Google is shit. We know that DuckDuckGo is compromised ever since that medical misinformation thing. I've heard people using the Brave browser. Logan, I don't know if you could speak on that. I don't know if you know if that's any good. But my basic point is, if you go on just a regular search engine, go to Google and type in when was Saturn discovered, it'll literally tell you 1610 by Galileo, which is the biggest crock of horse shit.
Well, the reason why it's 1610 is because that's the golden ratio. So 1610 is the golden ratio, 1.61.
Ah, there you go.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a crock of shit that it's on the internet.
Well, I mean, think of this though. Like Skull and Bones is 322, and what's 322 if you cut it in half?
116?
No, 161.
111.
No,
Wait.
161.
161, sorry.
That's
there
right.
it is again.
That's right.
Gotcha. Well, that's a new one for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I appreciate it. All right, let's move on. Let's see here. 32. Say all these blessings of a neighbor's life for those who believed in God with all their souls, and only for them on the day of the resurrection at the judgment. Thus we explain our signs for those who understand lives, who understanding lives. The signs are the signs in the sky. They tell you when to plant, when to harvest, when winter is coming. It's basically a farmer's almanac. They tell you what season it's in. The resurrection comes December 25th. That's the day the sun is resurrected from the dead, from the judgment which takes place on September 21st, which is the fall equinox. This is the explanation for the signs of its times. 40. Before those who consider our signs to be false and glorify over them the gates of heaven will not open, and they will not enter paradise until a camel squeezes through the eye of the needle, so we reward the wicked. This is also in the Bible too. Camel through the eye of the wicked. The camel through the eye of a needle. And I make the point, I haven't really figured it out yet, but humans can't pass through the eye of a needle, or a camel can't, right? So humans can't get into heaven. But the light from Camelot Pardalis can pass through a needle. So I have to work that up a little bit more. I want to understand that a little bit more. Unless, Santos, you have any thoughts on that? If I should just scrap this, or if you think that makes any kind of sense.
Which surah is this? 40?
40.
Okay. Before those who consider our signs to be false and glorify over them, the gates of heaven will not open, and they will not enter paradise until the camel squeezes through the eye of a needle. So we reward the wicked. The signs of the Zodiac, they tell everything you need to know. A camel can't pass through the eye of a needle, but the light from the camel...
So it has to do with the camel. It's all about the camel.
Well,
it says the camel has to go through first.
It's the Well,
so you're talking about Camelot Pardalis. That's Camelos, right. And Pardalis. It's the camel leopard.
The camel in the sky. Yeah, it is. It's the camel in the sky. There's no doubt about it. And passing through the eye of the needle, this will be in reference to. There must be a date on the Sufi or Islamic calendar where that particular date is when it first appears in the eastern horizon. That's passing through the eye of the needle, okay? That's what it means. And so, for instance, when the head of Aquarius pops up, well, everyone knows that Aquarius is John the Baptist, and that opposite Aquarius is Leo, and Leo is the hero, or Herod. Herod was the one who killed John the Baptist, and what happens is, when the opposite happens, when Leo is rising, the head of John the Baptist goes down below the horizon, and that's Herod prevailing over John the Baptist and beheading him, because that star that forms the head of Aquarius goes down first, and that date, and there is a date of the beheading of John the Baptist, and it is August the 29th. And that's exactly when, in the sky, the star in the head of Aquarius drops as Leo is rising in the morning. There you go.
Unfreaking real. You know, I usually leave this to the end, but what am I on, 41? I want to just show you this real quick. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I think you guys will find this very prevalent, Logan and Santos. John Dominic Croissant. My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally.
That's it. I've quoted that one. Whose is that one?
Croissant.
John Dominic Croissant.
Yeah, I've quoted that a couple of times. John Dominic Croissant.
It's fantastic. It's so true.
Yeah, please, guys, take note of that one, because that's exactly how it is. And I think the Reverend Robert Taylor in The Devil's Pulpit quoted that. You know, that we are so stupid that we think that they wrote rubbish and now we can interpret it, you know, symbolically. Whereas what they wrote was so mystical that people take it for rubbish because of stupidity.
Ignorance, yeah.
I love that quote. Okay. So, we did this one. Okay, so now we're going to get into Moses. And Musa, who's Moses, threw down his rod, and in front of everybody he turned into a serpent. He stretched out his hand, and she flashed whiteness before the eyes of all the beholding. Then the nobles from the people of Pharaoh said, "This indeed is a skilled sorcerer, and he wants to expel you from the land. What is your advice?" They answered, "Delay him and his brother." The summoners went through the cities. So in the Bible, for people who are not too familiar with the Quran, Muhammad doesn't come into the Quran for quite a while. He's more in the Hadith, which I'm working through right now. But you're talking about Moses. He's in the desert, and he gets a bunch of wily, roused up followers that come to him. And they basically tell him they want to leave. All this happens. And then snakes come out of the ground and they bite them. And then they're sitting there crying and dying in pain. And then the people turn to Moses and they say, "Please, talk to God for me." So Moses goes in and prays to God. God tells him to put a serpent on a stick or on a staff, he should say, a serpent on a staff, bring it out, and anybody that looks at him will be healed. Okay. Well, basically, the serpent on a staff is the rod of Asclepius, which becomes the caduceus. But it all goes back to Kundalini yoga. So when we talk about these ancient texts having an astrology background, that's just one science of it. Okay. There are, I believe, 7 sciences. You have alchemy, you have occult, you have metaphysical, you have astrological, anatomical. I forget the other 2. But basically, there's different ways of interpreting it. But this is basically the rod of Asclepius. Now, Surah 10, Yunus. He is the one who made the sun life-giving brilliance, established the moon that light pours in phases so that you know the numbers of the years. So this is just an open talking about the sun and the moon. He is the one who created the night so that you can rest, and the day to let you see. Indeed, here are the hidden signs for those in whom the desire to hear. So it's the same as the Bible. Jesus says, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Now, when you're talking about it astrologically, it makes sense when he says that. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, where the religious people will sit there and they will just take the word literally. It mind boggles me that people take these texts literally. It blows my mind. I can't wrap my head around it. Look around. 101. Everything in heaven and on earth, and neither the signs nor those who carry the message can be useful to people who aren't stubbornly faithful. Again, I feel like they're just teasing the reader. Now, I can't put myself in a Muslim's shoe and understand how they would interpret that message. I can't do that. But I can tell you is that reading it from an astrotheological perspective, it makes sense. The signs in the sky are not useful for people who don't recognize them. And notice, I tell this to people when I for my own little thing. I'm just using a set of keywords that can be attributed to the Zodiac. That is it. When you're religious and you're going through things in Christianity, you have apologetics. In Judaism, you have all the, you have like Rabbi Akiba and all those rabbis, extra teachings. on how to understand the Bible or how to understand it, I'm using a simple cipher. You know, and I'm sure it's actually probably bigger than that, and I'm sure I'm missing a ton of stuff. But I just wanted to share you guys what I basically have, because it's very hard to be able to talk the Quran with some people, because people are crazy when you start to talk about that kind of stuff. So Surah 12, Yusuf. And two young men entered the dungeon with him. One of them said, "In a dream, I saw that I was squeezing wine from grapes." Another said, "I saw that I was carrying bread on my head, and the birds peck at it. Tell us the meaning of these dreams. After all, we see that you are one of those who acted according to knowledge and kindness." So astrotheologically, the wine is Libra, and the bread comes from Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. Those are connecting signs. It's incredible. They're always just talking about wine. Okay, they're rarely talking about beer. Like in the Epic of Gilgamesh, they'll talk about beer, but it's always wine makes the man's heart glad, or I was squeezing wine, or the parable of the vineyard worker. And it's always wine related, and that's always dealing with like Libra. When they're talking about bread, they're talking about Virgo, and of course, barley is an ingredient in beer, so that's also Virgo. But it's mostly, you see the same animals. You see the sheep, the calf, and the goat, the sacrifice. Those are three signs. It's always the wine. That's always Libra. It's always, you know, it follows these patterns. So 43, and the king said, "Truly in a dream I saw 7 well-fed cows, which 7 thin cows eat, and also 7 green ears and 7 others reap." So the cows are the female bull, which is Taurus, and the corn is in Virgo. Corn is typically harvested in September, as it is in the area of the world where this book was written, at the time that it was written. Okay, Surah 15, Al-Hijr. "Verily here are hidden signs for those who seek to recognize the meaning of our signs." It's the hidden signs of the Zodiac. I don't usually put too much in this because I feel like certain passages just speak for themselves.
Can you go back like 2 slides?
This one?
The one with the wine.
This is it, yeah. This is the dream one.
Yeah, personally, I think the wine is the sun. And the sun has to feed all the zodiac signs as it goes around the ecliptic. But that's just my take on it.
Well, there's different layers of depth to this.
Of course.
You know, even within astrotheology, it could mean, this is why the books are incredibly amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the idea is to get people to start thinking like this. That's what I want. I just want you to start thinking like this. If you come to a different conclusion, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, I use the cipher that basically I've been using to do this. But sure, that could absolutely.
What do you, Micah? What do you use for your cipher, or how do you break this stuff down? Do you have like a method?
What's your? The 12 signs before, and I gave you all like the keywords to look for.
You just, so that's the methodology. That's your base.
That's what I'm based off of.
Okay, cool.
And I found it through all the ancient texts, not just the Quran, the Bible. You know, Enoch too. Enoch's a fun one. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, loaded with it.
It's a great book.
Egyptian Book of the Dead is loaded with it. The Code of Hammurabi, believe it or not, too.
Huh.
You know, I would love to. I mean, I have all this stuff on the website. I've done these on our platform here.
What's your website for the listeners?
Oh, it's you can just go to YouTube and go to Micah Dank. I have all the videos up there, but for the listeners, if you're a part of the Syncretism Society, all my videos are up already. I even do one with Illuminati hand symbols, where I break down all this stuff. I break down all that stuff. So yeah. So let me see where I was at. Here we go. Surah 16, the bees. He created cattle for you. It contains both warmth and every other benefit, and from it you will be flesh for food. He created horses for you, mules and donkeys for journey, and for the magnificent ceremonies he creates for you much of that which you hitherto unknown. Well, the cattle is Taurus, the horse is Sagittarius. The donkey is the star Stellus Borealis, which is located in Cancer.
Yep.
And last time I was on, I went through God's response to Job where he's just listing all these animals, and I was just pointing out where they're all located in the sky.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
It's a very simple thing.
Brilliant so far, brother. Keep it going. By the way, we're 9 minutes past the top of the hour, so callers, if you want to, if there's callers there, I don't see too many tonight, but if there's anyone who wants to join in and ask a question to Micah, you're welcome.
I'm going to look in the comment sections too. So
okay, and we'll address those.
Just put it in capital letters, folks. If you have a question, your question in capital letters.
Yep. And I just want to make the one announcement. We have 2 live lectures. Mine on Wednesday will be still on.
I'm just going to run to the bathroom real quick, guys. Okay, I'll be back.
Yeah. So mine lecture will be still on languages. So I did 2 weeks of how to know thousands of words in multiple languages instantly. So, but this week's one will be titled How to Speak and Learn Languages Correctly and Quickly. All right, so how to learn to speak languages correctly and quickly. And my method is very, very quick because unlike most language teachers, I put verbs above nouns for importance. I believe that if you start teaching students a language or someone a language, you teach them only verbs and nouns. Not only, but most importantly. And then you're able to construct sentences from that basis. And the system that I use is just, well, it's the best one I know. Since I've been studying languages all my life, who knows how many books on languages I've got back at home in country Victoria at my brother's place. But I also bought a lot of cassette courses. You know, you play the cassette and learn languages like that. And I learnt by all of that study the system that I've got now, which I'm teaching. So after this series of 7 on languages, folks, I just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to be teaching a 7-week course on basic astrology, how to understand astrology easily and go from basic to through intermediary to what do we call the top level? Advanced, right. Excuse me. To an advanced astrologer in 7 lessons. So again, it's all about knowing simple systems. When you know simple ways of teaching, teaching becomes easy. And then the other one we have is Christopher Campbell at 2:30. Is it Paige? 2:30? Yep, on Saturday. Christopher Campbell doing great astrotheology as well. We've got such good astrotheologists. We've got Micah Dank, who's with us at the moment. We've got Christopher Campbell, and we've got Mehmet. Now, Mehmet, I'm going to have him on too in July. So if you're listening, Mehmet, if you get a chance to hear this, I'm getting you ready. We want you also to do your take, because your background is Muslim and you're from Turkey, so we want you to do some...
Oh, is he? He's from Turkey? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He has got some great syncretisms from the Koran. So this has inspired me. I've been wanting to have him on for a while because he's so good. So, yeah, Micah, did you know that Mehmet also does astrotheology, and he does a lot of Quran?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to check that out.
Yep. So he's on the academy. He's got some great lectures there.
I love it.
Fantastic.
Hey, there's a few questions in here.
Yeah, please.
In the chat room, someone's asking, have we entered the age of Aquarius? If not, when? What's your take on that, Micah?
So
Santos.
I know this doesn't happen on a... Okay, so in the Zodiac, okay, you have a 3-day period. It's called the handover dates. Some people call them cusps. That's what happens when you go through the year. When you go through the great year, it's 2160 days. I mean, years. So it doesn't exactly, each sign doesn't exactly hand over immediately. I am under the impression that we are in Aquarius. And I wrote this in my first book. One of my characters said, we are the only people in history, and this is true because I've actually done the math. We're the only people in history that could say we've seen the change of a century, a millennia, and a zodiac sign. And that will never happen again. If you look at the math, it will never happen again. So it's very powerful. My thought process is the Mayan calendar ended because it wasn't the end of times. It was the end of a time. Remember they came out with that bullshit movie, 2012? Yeah. I was under the impression that when the Mayan calendar ended, that's basically when we started to enter Aquarius. But I know.
Oh, what happened? I lost him. Hey, can you take his screen share off too, and so we can do the camera again?
Yeah, we dropped you, man.
Technical difficulties, folks. Santos, what's your take on the Age of Aquarius? Hello? Oh, there you go.
I'll pitch in when he's finished. Go back a couple of sentences, man. You fell off about 20 seconds ago.
What I was going to say is when the Age of Aquarius started is when the Mayan calendar ended. However, I know, Santos, you'll probably say that. What do you have to do to know the age? You go to the equator, you look at the sun rising and the sign behind it.
Yeah, more or less, but with precession of the equinoxes, it doesn't work like that anymore. But if you calculate the degrees, well, then yes, then it does work like that. But that's how it works. Yep, 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. on the 21st of Aries, you look east. What is the sign that is coming up? That sign is the sign which dictates the Platonic year which we are in. And now we are definitely well and truly in Aquarius.
Yeah. And that's the sign, well, it's the sign of the man. It's the sign of the man with the water pitcher. It's the sign of man. It's the sign of humanity.
Yep.
And you had the Egyptian religion, which survives today as Kemeticism, but it's not the same as the Egyptian religion back then. Not entirely. And then you have the Jewish religion, and then you have the Christian religion, so there has to be a new religion, but you can't. We all have cell phones. We have camera phones. You're in Mexico. I'm doing a podcast from my kitchen in Long Island. We're talking to one another. We can spread information. Things go viral. How do religions spread? They spread through dogma, and they spread through violence. And a religion is not going to do that anymore. So what they have to do is they have to come up with something new. And I'm a firm believer that because all the signs represent something, as in the ram, as in the bull, as in the fish, Jesus with the 2 fish, I'm a firm believer that the Age of Aquarius is going to be, one, the elite's death rattle, because they know that consciousness is going to evolve. We're going to ascend. It might not happen in our lifetime, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that people know this and they start the process. But I think that the new religion is going to be man merging with machines. I think it's going to be transhumanism. And I think that Elon Musk is championing that. But that's just me. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yep, sounds about right. I think we've got someone who's got their hand up. Skylar Rose, yeah? Looks like you're unmuted and wanting to jump in. Did you want to ask a question to Micah? I saw Scott as well. You were there. Unmuted. Jump in if you want. Hello? We can hear you.
Hey guys, you there?
Yep.
I have a quick question. I heard that the scarab, or however you pronounce it.
I saw Scott. Hello. As well. Can you guys hear me? You were there.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, what's up? Jump in.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Man, Micah, thank you, dude.
No, just wait.
Hang on one second.
Skylar Rose, hang on, man. We've already got Scott. Just wait 1 minute. It's cool. That was my problem because I called you first. So, Scott, keep going.
Okay, guys. So I heard one of the importance of the scarab is due to the fact that You guys know it rolls the dung ball, puts its eggs in there, and the eggs hatch from the sun, and they can't figure out why there's no female involved. Miraculous conception. That's one of the reasons why it's so important. And how does the rolling of the ball compare to the sun across the sky? You know, how does that relate to all this in the zodiac? Are you guys aware of the scarab's breeding, you know, capabilities and how that all goes together? Miraculous conception.
I was under the impression, Scott, I was under the impression that was the dung beetle and not the scarab. I believe those are two different things.
Well, the scarab does it as well.
Yeah, it's the same thing. That they're one and the same.
Yep.
They are?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks, Logan.
And the ball, the rolling of the ball represents the sun going across the sky and the zodiac.
Yep.
But it's got it's miraculous conception that they hatch from the sun, and they can't figure out how this thing can breed and grow from the sun. No female.
Well, because the sun, if you take the sun and you compare it with a simple egg that many of you consume on a day-to-day basis, the yolk in the egg is the vitalis, which feeds the embryo, and the as above is the sun that feeds the earth, and the earth is an embryo in a sense. It's really simple.
The atmosphere, right?
Yeah, the
It's
atmosphere.
like the white, what do they call the white part?
The albumin.
The albumin. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yep.
that protects everything.
Yep.
It's really simple when you look at an egg. Right? Yeah. And I think that everybody here on planet Earth is literally, with our consciousness and our minds, we are harnessing our energy and we are creating an embryo which actually could produce an offspring, which may produce another planet, sun, et cetera, and then you get into archaics and Jason and talking about the 138 and the Phoenix Rising. The Phoenix Rising or the Phoenix event could be giving birth to maybe a new planet or something to that nature.
Yeah.
Based all on our consciousness.
Right.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah, man. And it's interesting because all of the church, quote unquote, fathers, including Origen, well, he was before supposedly Christ in Alexandria, Neoplatonist Origen. You've got, what's his name? Eusebius of Pamphylia. You've got Jerome. Anyway, there's tens of church fathers who call Jesus my Lord the Scarab. My Lord the Scarab.
You see, at one point you said St. Augustine.
Yeah, that's the one. St. Augustine I was thinking of. Yes, he as well. And they all call Jesus. I've got all these quotes. If you don't, imagine that this is possible, I can produce that quote from tens of church fathers. So what happened? Where did we forget that Jesus is actually a scarab? Well, he's also a fisher of men. He's also a lamb. He's also a lion of the tribe of Judah. He's also the archer on the horse, Sagittarius, in the white horse. He's the bull, the rock. He's all the signs of the zodiac. Simple.
Aha.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I've got this theory too. It's a little off topic, but you're talking about Walter Russell and you're talking about electromagnetism. You're talking about the sun being electric. Talk about the moon being magnetism. Moon is feminine. The sun is masculine. And you're talking about the moon, which basically has the same cycle as a woman. And it controls the tides of the water. It makes the waves. So I don't know about you gentlemen in your sex lives, but I'm under the impression that sun being the esoteric, electric, is why a male orgasm feels like a jolt of electricity goes through you. Meanwhile, I've talked to women, and they say that their orgasm feels like a wave that they can ride. So I feel like those are tied one in another.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting, because the sun's effect only is electrical, because the sun is actually magnetic. It is magnetism and the moon is dielectric. But they can be both male and female and vice versa, because you see, this is the thing that must be understood. When you learn things, you need to learn them to their very, very end. To the very end, to the full depth of knowledge you must have. See, water is feminine, but rain is masculine. Why is rain masculine? Well, because it impregnates the earth and all the seeds sprout. Well, that's like sperm. Rain is like sperm. So
in Hebrew the word is shemen. We get the word semen from it.
Shemen, exactly. So and Simon comes from that. Shiman, Simon in Hebrew, it comes from semen. So only rain is masculine. Water is always predominantly feminine. You see, so this is how you can get the sun to be both electric and magnetic, because the effect of the sun is absolutely electrical. The world, all the material world is pure electrical, but the cause of it is magnetic, and the source of magnetism, the only source of pure magnetism in our solar system is the sun. Whereas the moon is dielectric because its light is cold and dark. It brings, it's a portal which sucks out white light from our solar system, whereas the sun is a portal which white light is pouring into our solar system. All right, Scott, thanks for your questions there, man. I hope you had that covered. Let's go now to Skylar Rose. Sorry, brother, I confused you there. Jump in now if you'd like.
No worries, no worries. I also had my audio on for you guys. My bad on that.
No problems.
Yeah. Man, thank you again, Micah. That was been sweet, dude. This Quran. I had a question about this verse that's been just ringing around in my head for a while in the Bible, and I know the stars are mentioned a lot, of course, in the Quran, and I wonder if maybe there's one that's similar to this verse, but it's in Revelations, and I believe it to be Revelation 6:13, and that is, "And the stars of the sky fell to the earth as the fig tree sheds its winter fruit when shaken by a gale." And I've thought about this a lot, and it's about kind of the tribulation, and Jesus mentions it in Matthew as well, at the end of Matthew, and he says after the great tribulation, the stars will fall from the earth. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the power of the heavens will be shaken. I'm interested what that means either for like us right now and eternally, what that means. I just a view that I had on it was, maybe I would always look at it like these cities keep popping up, and this light pollution just keeps coming up around us, and like the sky just keeps getting darker and darker, and the stars harder to see, and that is like such a sad thing, and it's ruining people's connection to it. And so I always took it like that. I always took it like we're literally the stars are falling, they're going away, kind of in this period of tension in Revelations, or the ending.
So I think that there needs to be a fundamental in everybody's change of understanding of something, because when you're talking about the Old and New Testament, okay, which one sounds like it's more likely? Okay, it's literal revelation, not just the book of Revelation, but that the books are revelation, that they're foretelling what's going to happen, that they're divine, that the wording in there is divine. It's pre-processed. It's going to happen. Or, and just let me know which one you think sounds more realistic. The people who wrote the Old Testament and the New Testament are still the ones who are in control right now. So instead of it being a prophecy fulfilled, suddenly it's them manipulating the society and environments to make it seem like prophecy is fulfilled, and therefore keep people arguing, keep people talking about it. Which one to you sounds more realistic?
To me, I'm a very spiritual person. The divination, the God creating, the beauty that we found upon the heavens, and the story that we found up there is the one that makes a lot of sense to me. But this prophecy fulfilled, like by these controllers, I see that as the Antichrist, the one that will come and deceive that and try to show it for what it is not.
Okay, well, it's just a fundamental difference that we have, definitely. But
no, but I like, yeah.
I do. I did break down the Book of Revelation, but I think the passage right before the one you were talking about was the Lady and the Dragon. I did that one, and I went over that one. 6:13. I'm not too familiar with. I can let Logan or Santos jump in on that one.
On which one?
That's great, dude. I like
on what?
On the question of like the stars falling from heaven, the moon's light going out, the sun doesn't shine as it did after the tribulation, is what Jesus says in Matthew.
Well, I mean, I think the sun's definitely on a timer, and it may go out, and you may have something replace it in that sense. I had a caller call into one of my shows before, and she said the moon was once a sun, and it's burnt out, and that's makes logical sense to me. I mean, a lot of planets out there, they have many moons. We only have one. So are we moving into having two moons with another burnt out sun and then another sun? In the Egyptian talks about the return of Ra, and then in the Hopi prophecies you get the blue Kachina. So it's possible that you're going to have another sun replace the one that's burning right now. Obviously that's purely theoretical, but it's very possible that takes place. I think really what's important is figuring out what wrote the Bible, what's running it, and what's that story alluding to, and remembering that because it's the most popular book on the world stage, that makes it the #1 spell book, because that's all what ancient texts are. They're spell books. Every time you speak it's a magic spell. So when you read from a book, it's a magic spell. You're essentially giving
That's why it's called spelling.
That's right. That's why it's called spelling. How do you spell your name? So, if you just look at the Bible itself, Bible, Taurus, it's the bull god, and Taurus has the two horns, and the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. Scorpio has the devil's tail. So Scorpio and Taurus is the devil. Okay, you got the devil's tail and the devil's horn, and the Bible is the Old and New Testament. The Old Testament is fear, the New Testament is love. That forms a circuit. So you have that. But what wrote that? What is the God of the Bible? You got Genesis book 1, Revelation book 66. When you put those two numbers together, it gives you 166. The word tetragrammaton in numerology equals the number 166. So then you go to the tetragrammaton. And what is the tetragrammaton? Thank you, Jordan Maxwell. Tetragrammaton, which is A10, which is going back to ancient Egypt. And now you're getting into more sun worship. So it's very apparent that you get into the sun aspects, and you can't leave out Yaldabaoth, the Gnostic demiurge, and Lucifer as well. In my research, currently at my level of understanding, and I have a presentation coming out probably tonight or tomorrow, it's on the word illumination. And illumination starts with the letter A, not I, and illumination is the 13th element called aluminum. And that means a luminary body, and that's the element number 13. And we know the sun, that when it runs in its patterns, it runs in cycles of 13, not 12. It runs in cycles of 13, and it makes that boomerang shape. So then you get into the number 13, and you get into the Last Supper, and the Passover's in there as well. And so these are all astrological aspects leading to the makeup of the Bible, but it just seems that Lucifer and the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh and Yaldabaoth are one in the same character, and that means Jesus is exactly tied into there as well. I think this whole construct of our reality gets bored of the titles that it's given, and therefore it changes and eludes you, because if you don't like one, it's going to get you with the other. But like, what happened to the first religion? There's over 10,000 now. What was wrong with the first one? Right. So when we use these really logical concepts, do you have the same playlist on your phone? Do you watch the same show every single day? Do you eat the same foods every day? No, you change it up. So I think the same kind of constructs are in the way this world works, is that everything's it's a Ponzi scheme. I've come to the conclusion that everything in this reality is a Ponzi scheme, and the origin of everything will go back to that pyramid. It will go back to the apex. And so the good and bad is ruled by one source, and that's it. And whatever you want to name that one source, you can name it.
Beautiful.
For sure, man. Hey, the Ponzi scheme thing, that hit me right there, dude. Like, sometimes I walk around and I feel like I'm in Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, you are. It's a divine comedy.
Right.
It's
on.
totally we're in a theater.
It's talking about you. Remember, every character in every nursery rhyme, fairy tale, gospel, mythology is you. It's you.
Yeah.
You're the star of the show. It's all about you. You are Pinocchio. You are Mickey Mouse. You are Donald Duck. You are Humpty Dumpty. You are Jesus. You're every one of them, because they're all in you. You've experienced them all. If you've experienced them all, they're yours. It's you.
You know, speaking of Dante, it's interesting too, Santos, because I learned that hell is winter. And if you look at all the drawings from the earliest since Inferno came out in the 1300s, I mean, not Inferno, I apologize, the Divine Comedy, any drawing of Satan, and if you read the Divine Comedy too, in the bottom layer of hell, he's frozen up to his waist. It's a wasteland. It's a frozen wasteland because his wings are flapping so hard that anytime something tries to thaw, it just freezes over right away. So they knew hell was winter back then, or he knew hell was winter back then. And I'm wondering if that particular aspect of it is what really got him in trouble. The fact that he exposed that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in Spanish, winter and hell are the same word. Infierno and invierno. So one has an F, one has a V. Swap the two interchangeables, F and V, and you have the same word. Infierno, hell. Invierno, winter. Italian.
And I love it too.
Italian.
I love it. Yeah.
Inferno, hell. Inverno, winter. There you go.
Yep. And you know what? I love in the Bible too when they're talking about people going to hell. And what do they always say? There will be gnashing of teeth. Well, when do you chatter your teeth? Is it in the freaking cold or the hot?
In the cold.
Yeah. Well, you're in hell. It's called life, man. You got to make heaven out of it.
Yeah, well, cold is the element of physicality, whereas warmth is not. Warmth is always associated with spirit, fire, mystical. So water is the beginning of liquid, and liquid is what is behind everything that's solid, you know. So there you go. It's
and you can do a simple conversion. I mean, 32 and 33 degrees. 33 degrees is where water turns to a liquid. 32 is where it turns into a solid. So the 32 and 33 is the separating point, transmutation of water moving from one to the other. And in the tarot they do a great job because the Fool card is the zero card, and if you take Celsius 0 and you convert it into Fahrenheit, it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So 32 degrees Fahrenheit means the Fool. It means the zero. And when you go to alchemy, the element that has the 32 is the 16th element called sulfur, and the word hell in numerology equals 16. So it's pretty crystal clear, the comedy. It's just so comical that we're in a movie, you're in a theater, and you're an actor or actress playing out your part. And it's all a Ponzi scheme. Someone asked me to decode Ponzi scheme. Well, Ponzi scheme equals 53 in numerology, and 53 on the periodic table is iodine, which is the I am. Iodine, 53. Yeshua in numerology equals 53. And 53 in numberempire.com, if you go to that website, 53 is the 16th prime number. And 16 is the word hell in numerology.
Oh, that just reminded me of something that I wanted to ask you, Santos. I thought this up recently. The letter J came into existence in 1534. It was the last letter to come in. It was after Z. The Jesuits came in 1524. Do you think they had something to do with the changing of everything from... I don't really know how to phrase this.
All they did was they introduced... the letter was always there. It's not that people didn't know how to say J. Before then, everybody in every language there's that sound J. So it's impossible that they weren't using it, and it was there. But what they would have done was they would have transferred the... So I is the 9th letter, J is the 10th letter in the alphabet. So what they did was they actually started calling Ishwara or Yeshua, which started with an I or a Y, and made it, you know, like a J. Jehovah turned up, Jesus turned up, all of these J words. So there is, I don't think it's how they tell us that the J all of a sudden turns up in that part of history. I think what happened was they manipulated it. It wasn't introduced, it wasn't invented, it wasn't, you know, just dropped out of the sky. That's impossible. But there's definitely something going on with the letter J and the power that it has for them to have made such a historical difference with that letter in that period of time. It's still beyond me.
I guess my question was just, it was so close. Like, that was 1534. The Jesuits was Ignatius Loyola. It was 1524. So close to one another.
Exactly.
I was wondering if one had something to do with
another. I think so. Yes. Yep.
Well, J's the fish hook, right? Got you hooked. And if you really study the Jesuits, which I'm breaking down right now, it's just Judaism. The Society of Jesus is not Christianity, it's Judaism.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. It's just, it's Roman Catholic. Same thing.
Yeah, they're called marranos.
Same thing.
Which means Jews hiding behind a
what is it called?
Christian.
What is it called?
Marranos. The Jesuits are marranos.
Marranos.
Which means they are not Christian. They are Jews pretending to be Christians. And in Revelation, it calls them out. It says, I know you from the church of Satan, you who call yourselves Jews, but you who are not Jews, you know. So, yeah, it's the church of Satan. The Jesuits are the church of Satan. Simple. I mean, they've got the black attire, they've got everything. Jesuit means pretty much that they are Satanists, you know, je suis, we are the ones, you know, we're the Jedis, we're the Satanists.
Well, they're the militants, right? That's what they claim. You do their research on them, and they I think, what was it, Micah, was it 1524 when they first went to France?
Ignatius Loyola.
Yeah, 1524, I think, is when
they reformed in 1524.
Yeah. That's when they first did their pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and so that's the dead giveaway that it's Judaism, not Christianity. And even in numerology, the word Roman is the same match to Judaism. It's identical. So it's obvious, and when it says it right there that it's Jerusalem, it's a no-brainer. And then you follow the popes. Pope John Paul III, I think, is what gave his blessing, and then there's another pope after that, bringing them in as the militants to defend the church, and you know, that they're the knights on the chessboard, the horses.
You know, in my first book that I wrote, I actually include a section that basically breaks down how the book The Count of Monte Cristo is not a story, is not a love story. It's actually about fighting the Jesuits.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's in your book?
That's in my first book. But you got to understand, Santos, is that these are like Dan Brown type thrillers. So I'm kind of trying to like educate people in a soft way so that it doesn't blow their mind.
You know, there was
people will read it. Some people like the story. Some people like the story, and then some people will really get into the facts. Because what I try and do is I drop nuggets like Chuck Palahniuk does. Have you ever read a Chuck Palahniuk book before? He likes to include facts that make you want to Google them, and that's kind of what I do. And then I figure after the 6th or 7th time they Google it and learn about it, they'll just assume that I'm right and just keep reading the series. But yeah, the Count of Monte Cristo. You have Count of Monte, it's the Mount of Cristo, Christ.
Right.
You know, they're talking about how I think it was Pope Pius. I could be wrong though. Pope Pius X excommunicated the Jesuits, and then they fought their way back in with the new pope. And yeah, that's the account of Alexander Dumas fought against the Jesuits, and that was just his allegory for it. It's amazing. It's an amazing book. Really
wow. Well, there's another pope that in 1773 excommunicated the Jesuits from, well, no, he banned them. They were banned for 3 years and then came back as the Illuminati in
Bavaria,
1776, 3 years later. But in the interim, the United States became a republic, and they couldn't have done that without the Jesuits being banned. And that was Pope Clement XIII. And then when Pope Clement, they poisoned him. Then when Pope Clement XIV came back in, I think it was him who reinstated them. But the Americans got their shit together, as you say. They got their Articles of Confederation, they got their Bill of Rights, their Constitution, all together in 3 years, bang, 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 and because there were no Jesuits to interfere. And then they fought back, and the Jesuits reconquered the Americas in 1871 with the new U.S. corporate constitution. And the Vatican.
I thought that it happened a few years before then, because I could have sworn that the Jesuits were the reason behind the Civil War.
Oh, of course they were, yeah, but you see, that they always come back. They came back in 1776, in 1871, in 1933, in 1939. They came back. They're now Davos, the WHO, the UN. They're always coming back. You don't get rid of them. Until they're gone, okay? But they will. They will be gone very, very soon, and they will perish in hell, every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. So funny, 1871, that's when the JW organization was established.
Exactly, yes, the Russell Trust in 1871. Yeah. The Vatican took control of corporate America. Yeah. And then they had their big victory in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. That's their bank. Yeah. They run the Jesuits with the Rothschilds. They're all Jesuit. And they run all the money. They run everything. They are behind everything. That's not to say that they rule the world, though. They've got the Knights of Malta, the Teutonic Knights helping them, the Knights of Columbus in America. They've got all the Freemasons working for them as foot soldiers. They've got all the Christian churches. As it was said in the 1850s, Rothschild is the king of the Jewish world and the Christian world. Yeah. That's what was said in 1951 in a very, very important American newspaper. Rothschild is the lord of the Christian and the Jewish world. And Russell, Charles Taze Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witness, was a good buddy with Lord Rothschild. Zionists, both of them.
Like I said, it's a big Ponzi. It's a big Ponzi scheme, man. The whole thing.
Is it still all being run through Adolfo Nicolas, or has it evolved since then?
Are you talking about the general?
There's three generals at the moment.
There's three. There's a black, a white, and a gray.
No. Yeah, there's that. But I'm talking about there are actually three living black popes.
Right. Adolfo, I think, is the main guy.
Adolfo Nicolas, Calvin Bach, or whatever his name was, the Dutch guy, and now this new one. Who's the new one? Let's have a look. I'll look it up. Who we got? So Adolfo Nicolas. Come on, who was before that? Yeah, there's the other guy. What's his name? Arturo Souza.
Yeah, Arturo. I thought he was retired.
He retired. Yeah, well, see, this is what the guy before him, Calvin Bach, did. What was his name? But really, you can't really retire. This is the thing. Like the Pope, you see, Pope Benedict. He's still. There's two popes. Yeah. He's still there. He hasn't. You can't retire. That's the trick. That's the rule.
Something, Santos?
Yeah.
In all my books, my main character's name is Graham, and his girlfriend is Hannah. But if you put the names together, you get Hanagram or Anagram. All my books, all the names of the characters, in all the places that they belong, all the names of the buildings, they're all anagrams. And in fact, in my second book, the evil guy is an anagram for Arturo Sosa. Well, so for people who want to figure this kind of stuff out, it kind of tells another story. I've kind of encoded my books as well, too.
Right, so I've got the names. Peter Hans Kolvenbach, Adolfo Nicholas. He gave me the creeps, that guy. Ugh. And Arturo Sosa. And he's a creepy guy, too. You can tell he's a lizard. But he is the 31st Black Pope. There's from Ignatius Loyola, who was the first one, then Diego Lainez, Francis Borgia. Of course, there's got to be a Borgia in there. My mother grew up in the town Borgia in Italy. And Borgia is the founder of the Jesuits, together with the Farnese.
What's
family.
the last one right now? What number is he? What's our total?
31.
He's 31 right now.
Yeah.
So you have 31. Okay, that's because the Pope of the Vatican is the 266. We're at the end of the folks. This is it, man. This is the climax that you've been probably waiting for. All the numbers are lining up from all the research I'm doing. 266 Pope right now. If you know what the 266 means, well, you got more keys to your kingdom, and then now you get the 31, and that's a really big deal tied to the number 13. 13 means death.
Yep, and we're winding down, folks. We've got 10 minutes to go. So anyone with a quick question, it'll have to be quick and it'll have to be on point, because we're going to finish up with a few announcements and I'm going to give Micah the last word. So anyone want to jump in now or forever hold your peace? 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah,
real quick.
Jump in.
On that Ponzi scheme, just to add even more weight to that, I used to attend like this church down here, and it was not for me. I left pretty early. My friend was actually involved in it, and he was in this meeting where they were dealing with their finances, and they decided to spend a lot of their money renovating the floors, renovating all types of that building, getting a new like $1 million speaker systems for this church that's just honestly preaching garbage.
They all are. They're all 501c3 churches, which means they are not doing God's law. They are doing the law of the king, and that is not good. Any 501c3 church, including the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventists, are all serving the state. The state is the religion. Politics is the new religion. The state is God. People worship the state. They will do whatever the state tells them to do. There is no God in their life. There is no intuition. There is no dominion. They don't have any dominion over themselves. They have no sovereignty. They have given over their will to Satan, the god of this world. The churches of Christianity or Christendom, they are all Satan's little churches, all of them.
They also want to tell you in America, people are saying, why don't you tax the churches? That's exactly what they want. Because what happens is when you combine the church and state again, guess what happens? Their proposal, when these liberals scream, tax the churches, that's exactly what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you're not going to get, they're not going to tax the churches because that's the incentive to open up another church. And that's the whole Ponzi scheme.
But we know that we're in the age of Aquarius right now. We know that the Piscean age of Jesus is done. We know that they know at the highest
level. Right, but remember,
we know that maybe not in our lifetime, but we know that we're transitioning out. Just like the Egyptians fell in numbers, the Jews fell in numbers, the Christians will start to fall in numbers. That's why you're seeing all these attacks to them right now.
Yeah, but remember what it says about
by everybody.
Yeah, but remember it says in the New Testament, Jesus says, go into the house with a man bearing a pitcher of water, and that means follow him into that house. So they're trying to, the Bible is written to carry over into the age of Aquarius. I mean, it's obvious with that scripture right there. So yeah, maybe the churches will fall down to their knees. I mean, but nonetheless, you're still going to have a carryover. Who knows how far deep it's going to go into this?
Yep.
It's just a very exciting time to be alive.
Totally exciting.
The best.
The best time. I mean, if you're having a...
And we all signed up for this too.
Yeah. It's going to be a real good ride. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be victorious. We will prevail. We will conquer. Jesus said, have no fear, for you will conquer this world. What that means is not the way Klaus Schwab wants to conquer the world. It means that we will conquer all the entanglements which will trap us in continual, perpetual cycles of necessity. We will conquer that. We will master it. We will, at will, we will be able to transition to any dimension or any frequency of existence, of being that there is with our own magical power. I can be here one day and I can say, hey guys, look, I'm going to be leaving for probably about, 20, 30 years. I'm just going to go spend a few minutes on this dimension and hang out with my friends there. And we'll see you in about 30 years. Yep, no worries, Santos. Might join you in about 10 years. That's the power we have. We think we're stuck here. When you put a little jumping beetle into a jar with a lid and then it hits its head on because normally it jumps 10 times higher, but keeps hitting its lid. You leave it in there for a week, right? And then you take that beetle out. It will never ever jump higher than that ever again, ever, because that's its new. It knows that if it jumps that high, it's going to bump its head, and ouch, that hurts. And what's happened to us is we have been reduced. All our magic powers, all our senses, all of the glory that we are has been reduced, shrunk, compressed, and absolutely obliterated. And we've got we're all basically just know nothing. There's so much that we don't know, and we're just reduced. But that's going to change. That's going to change. Everybody will transcend and grow and flower and metamorphose and experience the apotheosis, which means becoming divine of the human being. That's around the corner, guys. That's happening right now. Right now. All right, guys, so with 4 minutes to go, Micah, your last words there, brother? Website and everything?
Yeah. I just wanted to, I didn't get to do the last part, but when we're talking about the 72 virgins that all these basically terrorists do, I just like to remind everyone that there's a star that borders Virgo called 70 Virginis. So there's 70. And then Virgo being the one, that's 71. And then 72 is the virgin you marry on Earth to have a family with. That's what they do it. They do it for, again, it's all astrology.
Cool.
I'm on Twitter at Real Mr. Dank, spell out Mr. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Micah Dank. I also teach here. I haven't had a couple of video out in a little bit, but I'm going to start working on it again. I recently started the Book of Mormon. I did the first chapter of Nephi. And I think I have a few guys. I think it's up there already. I know that Anna left, and then I got a message that Anna left, or she changed her position, and then somebody's new, but I'm waiting to hear back from them. But yeah, no, it's always wonderful coming on here and really having to stretch my brain out a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I feel like there's a lot of us out there. I feel like there's a big community out there, and I feel like it's my soul calling to basically bring this to the masses in whatever formation. And I have a background in writing, so I wrote stories, and I'm hoping that the movie producer or the TV producers just takes one yes. I basically have an open-ended publishing deal with my publishing house. They'll print whatever I want. They won't change the story. So if you guys want to find me on YouTube, Micah Dank, and that's basically about it.
Beautiful. Thanks, brother. So next week we have Roberto teaching the Toltec wisdom of Mexico. Nice. And Roberto is a guy who I spent a lot of time with down in Oaxaca, in Mazunte, when I first came to Mexico. did a lot of lectures there in the community in Masunte. He was always the one organising that, and Roberto knows more than anyone else I know here in Mexico about the Toltec wisdom. It's going to be wonderful. We've got some great guests coming up, guys. We've got another Micah Sky. He'll be coming soon with his documentary release. We're going to do a bit on that. Micah's already done one. We've got William Schreiber, Personalities of the Zodiac guy, and he's going to come on and tell you, what to look for an Aries, what a Leo looks like, how they speak, how they walk, their posture. He's going to tell you all of that. He's great. He'll be in early July. Then we've got Roberto next week, David Petrella the week after. He's also an astrotheologer. We've got some great guys, man. And also Daniel from Zen Cleanse. I'm now an affiliate of Zen Cleanse, guys. Go to my website, universaltruthschool.com, and check out Zen Cleanse. I'm going to be doing a show on the 21st of next month with Daniel, the owner of this company. And so,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
We've got some great guys coming. Logan, thanks, brother.
Of course,
for helping
you, man.
me.
Yeah, one more thing. Sorry, one more thing. My book series, in case any of you guys want to get it on Amazon or reach out to me for signed copies, it's called Into the Rabbit Hole. That's the book series.
Good one. All right, guys, please share this. Please subscribe. To this channel, but also I just put a video up on my channel, and it's on this channel as well, about an incentive for you to do a monthly or a yearly subscription. This will keep us going for now. Soon, that's all going to change. You won't be at all paying any subscriptions for this academy. It will be 100% free. For now, folks, the way it is we've got...
Yeah, you're supporting it.
We've got Paige, we've got Brenda here doing all the tech work. They're busy. I haven't seen them even put their eyes up to look around. They're just doing stuff in the background. We've got Ricardo also doing editing. We've got Luis in Veracruz who does work for us. We've got people all around the world. We've got a brand new website coming up soon. Wow, the Sync Academy. Just wait till you see. This is another branch of the academy. I think it's called syncacademy.com. But anyway, Daniel will be with us about on the 17th of next month. So Daniel will be back. I noticed someone mentioned there, where's Daniel? What's happened to him? He's still around. He's still 100% involved with the academy, and he'll be here in about 3 weeks on the show. Thank you, one and all.
Thanks,
much love.
everybody.
Until next week.
Much
Kashmir?
love.
Can we do Kashmir? All right. My favorite song coming up, guys. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Oh. Okay, you just do Kashmir. All right, way to go. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
For everything.
Oh, let the sun beat down upon my face, stars to fill my dreams. I am a traveler of both time and space, to be where I have been. Sit with elders of a gentle race, this world seldom seen.